I am resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Joel Sains. I have no reasonable sanity left. I'm joined here by my buddy Patrick McRae, my buddy Alan Gallant, my buddy Daniel Culver. We are here to review the movie BrainScan, distributed by Triumph Films. It was released April 22nd, 1994. Starred Edward Furlong, Frank Langely, Amy Hargraves, T. Ryder Smith, so as the trickster. So when did you guys first see this movie, Daniel?
Actually, today. Which actually also, a fun fact, I was actually 2 when this came out.
Cool.
Good.
Patrick, when did you first see it?
Just a little while ago.
Alan, when did you first?
I think I go back way further than these guys. I saw it yesterday.
There you go.
I'm surprised Patrick didn't see it sooner, to be honest.
I did not. I was unaware in studying the oeuvre of Edward Furlong. This particular entry did not penetrate.
I saw this in theaters. Thank you, Mom.
Ooh.
And was really blown away by its different style of storytelling, because the last time I had seen a movie that involved like going into like a game was Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
Which I don't think this movie is necessarily ripping off of, because they're getting into the serial killer aspect of a slasher. This is more of a slasher than what Lawnmower Man was. And basically, like, is the game real or not? They're asking the question. So, Patrick, you said you had questions. I'll try to answer them.
I am eager to hear of your love of this film.
I enjoyed this film very much because, again, at the time, the 90s were very different times. We had The Crow, we had Terminator 2, Titanic would come later. This movie, Halloween 6, we had very dark films for the 90s, and this film was dark. It was much different than what, I'm not saying Ed Furlong didn't play dark characters, because he was in RoboCop 2, which was a very dark character he played there. But this was a very, not necessarily a dark character, but he was going up against a dark character in the Trickster. And I really enjoyed the character of the Ryder's, the actor Ryder who plays him, does a great job in this film interacting with Furlong, and both do a really good job of carrying this movie. You have Frank Langely, who's in this movie as the detective. He's great when he's on.
The last thing Langella is kind of a non sequitur stylistically in this film.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I think he's at this point he's making the transition from younger sexual stud to middle to older sort of character actor.
Authority figures.
Yeah. So he's I think he's putting his toe in the water, so to speak, in this film.
Yeah, and he makes a great detective in this.
He's fine. He's great. He's good.
I mean, he's maybe the greatest Sherlock Holmes very few people have seen. He's really he excels at that kind of part.
I believe there is a copy of it on YouTube, or used to be.
There is. That's how I've seen it.
Yeah, and he's brilliant, and he's funny, and the whole thing. He's got it all. So.
Isn't that one we've reviewed?
I think we did talk about it long ago. The HBO, because it was shown on HBO. It was filmed for HBO.
It was the stage play that they shot.
The William Gillette, the original play. That's why Holmes smokes the curved pipe.
Yeah,
is so that Gillette could rest it on his chest.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of Edward Furlong here, Alan?
Well, Furlong at this point is at the height of his popularity, I would say, from doing the various other movies that he's done. I thought he was okay, a little overwrought in places, but okay, watchable. I didn't have any problem with that. And the fellow that played I thought that the fellow that played the trickster was the most riveting, interaction that he has, because he is kind of an isolated kid, so that makes sense that this character, whether he's imaginary, computer generated, whatever he is, would be his primary contact. And the whole question of, is it in his mind or is it outside of his mind? Is he really the killer or is it the game? All of these sorts of things are kind of fun. There is some didactism about it. You can recognize in places how, this was a point in time when people were talking about video games being like really bad for kids and, causing them to go out and kill people and shit. And you see a little of that didactism in there. It is of its time. It is a very 90s film. Furlong is the 90s actor. I mean, that was when he was at his peak. But if you see all the references to 90s, everything from the fashions and the hair to posters on the wall of his room, the type of computers in his room with all the caddies and stuff, that's 30 years ago. So yeah, you expect that, but it's very much drenched in 90s isms. So it's fun in that respect, I think.
Yeah. Patrick, what did you think of Edward Furlong's character?
Video games are dangerous. I would take to the streets after playing too much Cubert with an air pump, and I was a menace. Furlong's fine. He's your angsty, alienated teenager type with the hair in his face. I mean, if those poor kids had just gotten a haircut and had gotten the hair out of their eyes, I think maybe they would have been in a better mood. I would have been in a bad mood with hair hanging in front of my face all the time. I knew it was trouble when I saw Last Crusade and they had the Phoenix Boy around a bunch of hair in front of his face.
Yeah.
Notice Indiana Jones only starts making good grades when he gets a haircut.
That's right.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Get back.
It was this anti-mullet hysteria. And that's what I think of Edward Furlong. He's a victim of it's because it's the reverse mullet.
Mm-hmm.
Often a hairstyle referred to in England as the Chelsea.
Daniel, what did you think of Edward Furlong's performance here?
I would say, I'd say he did a good job playing the character, and I kind of like how his character was like, he didn't actually want to kill people. He was kind of tricked into it. He didn't even like
tell it to the judge.
That's right.
Yeah, even like with the girl, yeah, even like the girl, he couldn't do it, but then the trickster says, I'm you, he still didn't end up doing it. That's what I like. Then it's all revealed that this is all part of the video game.
Well, mostly part of the video game.
Yeah.
The last scene gives a little question to something else. Yes,
it has to. It's part of the ritual.
That's right.
Well, Edward Furlong's character was in some sort of accident when he was younger, or a little younger than 16.
Mm-hmm. Lost his mother.
Yeah, and he caused him to have a limp with his leg, and he's obsessed with horror as well, not just video games. He has his own horror club in high school, for fuck's sake. Like, yes. Where the fuck did he go to school?
But they allowed a horror club.
Yeah,
right?
I digress.
And he gets in trouble in the horror club for showing a horror movie.
Yeah, a horror movie.
Where's the sense in that? What does Mr. Yodelbean expect him to do in the horror club?
I think the principal is some relation to Niedermeyer. That's just
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do like the fact that him and his friend, they're excited about this game, and when he gets the game, there's a party going on across the street. He actually tells his telephone, Igor, do not disturb. I don't want disturbed, so no calls can go through as he's playing this game. And when he plays the game, he ends up, killing somebody. And even in the state of the game, he's hesitant to do it. And then when he gets out and he realizes it's all real by the next day, it's like, oh shit, no, this can't be right.
Right.
Yeah, the twist in this movie of the trickster appearing behind the desk of the principal was really good.
I agree.
Was it real, any of it? Or is the trickster just somebody who goes from person to person and wants them to experience the game? Which is an interesting question to leave audiences with.
Well, the trickster is something that is present in most mythologies and in several religions as well. Satan is the trickster in Judeo-Christian tradition. Loki is the trickster in
the coyote.
Tradition, right? Coyote in some Native American and other animal sort of spirits as well. But
the cosmic game show host.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time, at the time this game is made, this movie is made, 1994. Keep in mind, Nintendo's mascot is Mario, Sonic's mascot, Sega's mascot is Sonic.
What are we in 16-bit still?
Well,
maybe 32.
Not I'd say 32 because the SNES was out for sure by this time. The Sega CD, I think, would follow soon, and the Sega Genesis was out too. PlayStation, remember, Nintendo and Sony and Nintendo almost came out with the Super Nintendo with Sony logo on the paddles, but it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to a degree because you can still find, there are like 4 machines you can find. But then Sony said, "No, we're gonna make our own console," and backed out at the last when everything was basically being going to be destroyed.
When did that glove enter into things?
Oh, the fucking power glove that never worked.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's what the problem with that was. I know. Didn't Siskel and Ebert say that was awesome or something? So you know how that goes.
Well, they got paid to say that too.
Yes, they did. They were actually in commercials.
Roger found that they picked up Cheetos brilliantly.
1989.
Did exactly what he wanted them to do.
Yeah. The thing is, this was an era where technology companies and gaming companies were made and lost overnight. I mean, it was just happening a lot.
The Power Glove came out in 1989.
Oh wow. Oh wow. So yeah, that Power Glove that didn't last. Well, it's older than me, but to be fair, I'm not that old. I'm only 32, but But yeah, it's kind of sad it didn't work because it does sound like it seems like it might be cool, but that's where it's kind of complicated. It's like Eric Bischoff said about Taboo Tuesday. It looks good on paper.
Yeah. On paper, but it didn't work out.
They said the same thing to Gutenberg.
Yeah. Who's you guys? Well, there's not many characters in this movie. So who's your favorite character?
Well, the trickster is the most interesting character to me. I find, Edward Furlong is fine, and his girlfriend is a nothing. His would-be girlfriend is a nothing. She's a function of the type of movie, but she doesn't really get a lot of development. As a matter of fact, it's almost zero. Langella is good in anything he does. Read the phone book. Go ahead. No problem there. But I would say the most interesting character in terms of as written, visual, attitude, energy is the trickster for me.
Patrick?
Oh, the trickster, even though he's kind of uncomfortable to look at with that crazy hair and the weird skin and that 90s collar.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, I probably paid the most attention when his girlfriend was on screen, or Frank Langella.
Yeah, but only because of her physical presence, not because of her
her dynamic
storyline.
Take action agent of agency. Yeah, no.
Daniel, who was your favorite character, man?
Well, I'm also gonna go with the trickster because he's like the most interesting character. And yeah, he's designed pretty well, but I would say the second favorite would actually be Kyle. Michael's best friend, because he seems like he'd be a pretty good friend.
Yeah. Yeah, he wanted to borrow the game, and yeah, he didn't live to. Well, he didn't live to make it.
not within the context of the dream or / game. No.
Yeah, he's alive in the real world. That's what counts.
It seems like the only person that dies is the first victim because the dog is there with his foot
that's
at
true.
the end of the movie, and everybody else seems to be perfectly fine. So I don't know. And if you notice, the only time that the kid is conscious during playing the game is the first time.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
So
yeah, that's sort of the catch of the movie. Like, he blocks the call. It's really weird in that way. That's where this movie. I picked this movie because I know you guys have never seen it, and I wanted you guys to see it and get your thoughts on it.
yeah, I think it's very much of its time, which is not necessarily a totally bad thing, but it is of its time. And all the concerns about video games at that time really kind of inspired these kind of movies to be made. I mean, you can go back to, computer phobia with war games and that sort of thing. It's all part of the same sort of, here's a new technology. Oh my God, it's ruining our children and it's going to blow up the world. There's a certain segment of concern that people have as a sort of a human element to being introduced to something new. It's almost a superstitious element before people get familiar enough with the technology to understand it.
My favorite character in this movie is the technology itself at the time, because you have literally a kid who is surrounded by all these technological gizmos and he buries himself within it, which that's sort of some of the message of this movie. You shouldn't bury yourself in video games. You should go out and with your friends and go find friends and make them, which is in a sense the message of this film.
Yes.
This is why I enjoy it. You guys, is there anything you want to add about BrainScan?
I think I have said everything. I've expressed the totality of my opinion on this work.
And now the tautology.
What are we doing tomorrow?
Oh, Jewel, the man who would be king.
The man who would be king. Okay, I'll just make sure I got the name right. Okay. Do I need to send it to anybody?
Send it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, send it to me.
Okay, I'll send it to everybody here.
We should do the Grinch, around Christmas time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Miracle on 34th is probably one of the best.
We could also do Silent Night, Deadly Night. I don't know if you guys have all those movies.
Deadly Night,
Santa's sleigh.
I would suggest. I'll tell you what, the movie I think you guys would like is Violent Night.
Oh, you know what? Is that one?
It's not the movie you think it is.
Right.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's the one where I don't want to spoil, but there's a little girl that Santa meets,
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
I think they're making a second one of that, or they did maybe already.
I'm interested to see this new one that's coming out called Red.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a Christmas movie. It's Santa is kidnapped by this group apparently, and a bunch of people have to go and try to save him and all this sort of thing.
Well, that sounds like Rare Exports, which is a Norwegian movie that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Watch the trailer for it. It's really good.
I think the trailer for Red is out on YouTube now.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, we could also review A Night Before Christmas, but we should do it in November. That way, to mess with people, because there's a debate whether it's a Halloween or Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
So links in the description box to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel. Colin Sport After Dark will be in the description box. Link to Patrick for Crazed Dark Shadows, Daybook and Val will be in the description box. Link to Daniel Culver's YouTube channel, Killenberg, will be in the description box. Gentlemen, have a good and safe night. Take care.
Love, dog.
Take care.